All right. It is Friday, November 8th, 2019 at 2:42 p.m. All right, let's go quickly over an article here on the Weather Channel. It says another Arctic surge to deliver record mid-November cold next week to the plains, Midwest, South, and East. So basically a wave of cold is coming at us and then another one is coming. So it's multiple waves of cold. Alright, another stronger cold front will plunge through the U.S. early next week. This front will deliver the coldest air of the season so far for many in the eastern half of the country. Numerous daily cold records from mid November will be threatened. A freeze is possible as far south as part of the Gulf Coast. A powerful Arctic cold front early next week will deliver the coldest air of the season to the central, southeastern, and eastern U.S., shattering dozens of mid November records in the process. Of course, it has already turned sharply cold over much of the Midwest, South, and East from what has been a parade of Arctic cold plunges pushed south from Canada by a southward plunging jet stream. The coldest spots in the northern Rockies, northern Plains, and upper Midwest dipped below zero earlier in the week. A few locations in the northern Montana plunged by the teens below zero Thursday morning. And you see here in the current temperature miniature map, there's 40s and 50s and 60s in the California area, but the eastern side of the country is pretty much plunging from 30s, 40s, and some 20s here in the Michigan area. So it's also bringing 30s and 40s to the North Carolina, Tennessee, parts of Alabama, Mississippi, plunging into the 50s and 60s in the Georgia, South Carolina, and still in the 70s and 80s for the southern part of Florida. But the northern part of Florida has 64 degrees. So pretty much the wave is just slowly dipping south, more south, and just bringing in cold. Okay, some daily record lows, excuse me. Alright, some daily record lows are possible from this front Saturday morning in the northeast. These include Baltimore, Newark, and Philadelphia, each bottoming out in the mid 20s. Bangor and Caribou, Maine may also threaten daily record lows on Saturday, dipping into the teens. Next week's colder blast. If it wasn't enough, another blast of cold air will sweep into the central eastern U.S. early next week, the coldest air of the season for many. This next front will plunge quickly through the northern plains and upper Midwest Sunday into the southern plains and Ohio Valley Monday, then through the east coast and deep south on Tuesday. So you see it says here timing of the cold blast. You see Sunday it's up by Kansas. On Monday it's all the way through the middle of the country, and by Tuesday it's already in the south. So there's just a big wave that's gonna sweep in and it's gonna be cold for everybody. So now that you know that next week it's gonna be cold and this week we're getting a cold front as well. So be prepared. Have food if you need it. You don't know if it's gonna possibly snow with these cold snaps, so let's get prepared and have the things we need for cold. All right. The National Weather Service office in the Twin Cities compared the cold in this air mass to a similar event in 1986 that set record lows in parts of the upper Midwest. By Mondays, highs in the teens may be widespread in the northern plains, and temperatures may struggle to rise out of the 20s for highs as far south as the Mississippi Valley and Central Plains. There are daytime highs more typical for January than November. Monday's high temperatures could be the coldest on record on November 11th, with dozens of cities in the Midwest Plains. This includes Minneapolis and Chicago, where the coldest high temperatures on record for the date are 19 degrees and 28 degrees, respectively. Tuesday's highs may be the coldest on record for November 12th, over a widespread area from the interior, the Northeast, and Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley and lower Mississippi Valley. Highs may be struck below freezing as south as Tennessee and in the 40s as far south as the northern Gulf Coast, including Houston and New Orleans. The NWS noted a sub-freezing high temperatures Tuesday in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and parts of Kentucky would be the record earliest in season such occurrence, something more typical to mid-December. Wednesday's highs may be stuck in the 40s in the deep south and 50s in parts of North Florida. The National Weather Service is forecasting about 190 potential daily record cold high temperatures Monday through Wednesday. During the peak of this cold air outbreak, lows should plunge into the single digits as far south as the Central Plains by Tuesday morning. Some single digit below zero lows are likely in the northern plains. The deep south should see lows in the 20s Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and the season's first freeze is possible along parts of the northern Gulf Coast, including Houston and New Orleans, by Wednesday morning. The Florida Panhandle may shiver with lows in the 30s Wednesdays and Thursday morning. Lows in the interior northeast should plunge into the teens, with 20s along the Interstate 95 corridor and coast. Those chilly temperatures could set mid-November daily record lows in dozens of locations, according to the National Weather Service. So, forecast morning lows next week. We got Minneapolis with 14, 7, and 12 degrees. Kansas City with 26 on Monday, 14 on Tuesday, 19 on Wednesday. Little Rock, Arkansas with 49, 24, and 18. Nashville with 44, 24, and 16. Atlanta with 44, 45, and 28. Raleigh with 39, 50, and 25. So pretty much the closer you get to the Canadian border, the colder it will be. The further south, it will be a tad bit warmer, but still chilly for the time. Lake effect note is likely to intensify for a time in the Great Lakes. Snowbelts are sharply colder. Air passes over the still warm lakes. The chilly pattern may relax after next week's cold blast, particularly in the Plain States. However, given the early season snowpack in Canada, prolonged warming is unlikely in the northern tier, particularly east of the Mississippi River, heading into the second half of the month. November 2018, one of the 10 coldest Novembers on record for Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Mississippi. Kansas City, Missouri, shivered through its coldest November on record. The only warmer than average areas last November were found along the west coast and in Alaska and Florida. So pretty much we're having a lot of cold coming in. Let's take a look quickly here at my Twitter page, which I have in the description below. If you guys feel like following it, I have a lot of weather stuff there and updates. So if you ever feel like following my Twitter feed, you'll be updated. Also, look, this is me thinking about Thanksgiving. All that mashed potatoes. Alright, so anyways, the freeze warning. It says freeze warning is in effect tonight. To be sure to take care of your pets, plants, and pipes. Northerly wind will make it feel like the 20s by early Saturday. And this is for Atlanta and parts of Alabama. Atlanta, 29 degrees, 31. So pretty much 20s and 30s is going to be cold for Atlanta. This is the waves that we were talking about right now in the previous page of the Weather Channel. Speaking of the cold shot next week, here's a look at forecast departures from the average. Nearly 233 million Americans will have below average heights in the reinforcing plunge of unseasonably chilly air. We'll have some cities more than below 30 degrees. And you see the wave here going from Texas all the way up to Michigan. So pretty much this is a cold wave coming in. And you see here a little animation of the wave coming in. It's just round 1 comes in this weekend, then it rechanges, and round 2 comes full throttle next week, bringing daily records and even potentially all-time monthly record lows. Meanwhile, near-record warm invades the Pacific Northwest and Southwest as a counterbalance attempt. So just wave after wave of cold. Alright. I'm going to show you, I'm going to scroll, see if I can find it. I'm going to show you this. Okay, here we go. This is pretty much the cold front from the Arctic view. So it's really warm in the Arctic right now, but the cold that's supposed to be in the Arctic has moved down to us. That's why we're getting shots wave after wave of cold, is because the cold has to go somewhere, so it is displaced above and below. It just moves towards us and above that warm spot. It says here, Greenland and the Arctic are on proverbial fire, while the cold air is displaced south once again. Blocking redirects jet streams south and north with high amplitude patterns. As a result, get ready to freeze in the eastern U.S. I'm not sure if it's going to play in large, but I wanted to give it a chance to see if it will play visually large. And it seems like it won't. It just stopped. Okay, so pretty much I'm going to see if I could zoom in so you guys could see a better shot. This is the cold right here, the purple, blue, and the red in the middle of where the Arctic is supposed to be is the warm. So it's warm in the Arctic Circle, and the cold that's supposed to be in the Arctic Circle is coming down to us, to that purple above the United States right there. Alright. So the little animation is playing while it's small, but it pretty much is just diverging the cold away from the Arctic and pushing it down to us, and we're getting wave after wave of cold. So stay warm, guys. Hit like and subscribe for more videos, and see you guys next time. Remember, I have a sponsor, Dave's Empire 1981, in the description below. Check him out. He's got a great shop. He does great art. He did art for Jason Mewes. He did some awesome chucks for him with Deadshot animation on it. So if you guys ever feel like any comic or art that you want on a hat or shoes, he'll do that for you. Alright guys, see you next time. God bless.